Laetitia Miéral, I'm a paper magician, and today I wanted to share with you the second episode of the Paper Secrets series about dollhouses, and I'm going to talk about the mistakes, the 10 mistakes you want to avoid when you start to make a dollhouse if you have never made any dollhouse before. So it is filled with all my experience after making so many dollhouses and all sorts of small houses. I've made a ton of mistakes during the past, and I'm going to share a bit of my experience about these mistakes and also what I've seen others doing in my courses and also in general. So the first mistake, the biggest mistake I would say, would be to start to make a dollhouse out of a cardboard box. So it looks like the best idea you could have. It's a cardboard box, a shoe box, it's already made, you have the floors, you have the walls and all that, and you think you are going both to save time and money. And actually it's the opposite which will happen. You will waste time, supplies, your energy. You're going to have so many problems coming along the way. I've done my very first house, my haunted house, with cardboard. It wasn't exactly a cardboard box, but there were cardboard, and I had so many problems with it. I totally improvised. It was my first house. I didn't know to do really many things when I started to do this house, and I had to fix so many things. I really regretted it, not knowing what I know now, the supplies I use now, which are more comfortable. You don't make so many mistakes, you don't waste time like that, and it's going to be straight, square. The problem of cardboard is, the main problem is it's going to curve in a way or another. You can't skip that. It's going to happen because it's going to swallow the water and the glue, and you're going to have all your walls slightly strange. If you want a strange house, perhaps you can use it. I use it for a few things in my houses, but very specific things, and not this sort of regular big cardboard, brown cardboard, you know. I don't use this one. Instead, use some foam board. I like to use the thick one for my houses, the 5mm, and it's going to help a lot. You're going to have the possibility to improvise way more than with cardboard. No shoe box, no cardboard box, but a foam board instead. Another mistake which comes from this first mistake is using the wrong supplies, the wrong glues, of course the wrong paper, the wrong cardboard, and you will have so many problems coming. So I use some wood glue, wallpaper glue. I don't use any hot glue, any of these things. I don't like them. I prefer relying on these glues which I've used for so long, and I know they last throughout the years. So wood glue or any other fast glue which will help build quickly all the different pieces of the house, the towers, the staircase, all these things. And the wallpaper glue is nice to wrap everything, to adjust everything together, and to sculpt a little. Combination of the good glues and the good papers. I like to use different sort of papers too when I build my houses, because I use the newspaper one, or of course some thickest paper and some mulberry paper, quite a lot of things. So another mistake would be to start on a too small scale. Of course, it's a dollhouse. You think, well, I can do what I want, it's a dollhouse, I need to have something small. Just the same, if you have never done a dollhouse before, you need to have a room for your hands, for your tools, for your brushes, your scissors, all that. Your cutter if you need to cut something. If you have really a tiny floor, everything is super small. Unless you're a miniaturist, you know how to do these things. If you're not, you're going to really struggle, and it's going to be, well, a little annoying. You see, for example, this house. So this house has only 2 floors. It's very simple. There is a tower, and here I really have all the space I want to decor and to take care of the windows, everything. And I quite like it sometimes to have something very comfortable to work with. I still have a little challenge with the tower here, but this example is very nice if you want to start with something simple. Also, I'm just showing you here the Cinderella house I think I made it in 2012, I don't really remember. And this house, I didn't follow this rule of thumb, which is you have to access it with your hands and your brushes and all that. I made a lot of towers, impossible to reach, impossible to access. I was so excited at the beginning, creating all sorts of things. And I don't use measurements at all when I start, only for the windows, but I don't really use other things I do in my workshops, because if I have a problem, it's my problem. Of course, with the workshops, I need to be a little more clear in my explanations for people to follow me, because they don't know all how I work, and they wouldn't work well with all this craziness. But I did that for my Cinderella house, and I did a lot of very difficult to reach towers, and honestly I struggle a lot to paint them well, to do my curtains and all that afterwards. You have to think of the decor when you start to build a house. Is it going to be nice to access it, or you will have problems even to add some little pieces of decor? So think about all this, both the scale and the accessibility of corners, towers, all these things. And you also have to think that the furniture is going to match the scale. So if you start small, your furniture is going to be tiny. So if you want to do a canopy bed or that, think about that. It's going to be such a tiny canopy bed, and you will have maybe problem to make it really detailed. If you have something slightly bigger, well, your canopy bed will be quite decent, and all the other pieces of furniture. Another mistake is, of course, the same on the same idea, starting with something way too sophisticated for your skills where you're at. If you have never done a dollhouse before, you have to start slowly. The Haunted Dollhouse, I shared a little before, a few things about it, was my very first house, and it was very, very simple. It was very simple because I had no idea how to sculpt a staircase. I had no idea how to make towers. I thought if I had some windows everywhere, it would be a very weak house. It would be very fragile. So I only made windows on the front wall. It was super basic, super simple. No staircase, no ladder, nothing. Nothing under the roof because I had no idea how to have this roof empty and to do things on it. And I learned all these things later. Of course, no tower you can open, no doors. And it's still something I love doing. So if you have never done something as sophisticated as my houses, for example, try to do something more simple with the skills you have, with the knowledge you have, and it's still going to be a nice experience, very funny, very pleasant. You will have really a lot of joy. And if you start with something super complicated, like doing crazy staircase, trying to do it, not knowing how to do it, not knowing how, all the little challenges you will have. I mean, a dollhouse, it's so many challenges, I really have to tell you. If you want to have things which open, they have to be straight, they have to be square. If you have a tiny, you start to be a little improvising. You will have tons of problems coming. The door will be too low, perhaps you will adjust it too low on the house, and the door, which is perhaps a wall door, won't open because there is the floor, so it's going to go on the floor and you won't have the possibility to open your house. So another thing I'm totally guilty of is improvising too much. As I said in the previous episode, you need some sketches, you need to know where you go, where your house is, how your house is organized, the rooms, the staircase, the towers, anything you have. I love improvising, so I love adding, I don't know, a tower here, for example. This house is pretty simple. I could totally open the roof and start to build another tower here. Now I can do it because I have done many houses and I know the technical things, problems I may have, and I also know the time it's going to take. Another thing would be getting lost into details, and that's something you can really easily do with dollhouses because there are so many things to do and it's small and you want to perhaps work a lot in a room and you forget all the other rooms. I would suggest, especially with paper and all these paper techniques, you can always come back later. So you can, for example, build all your house, decorate simply, and then afterwards you can always add more wallpaper, more curtains, more things, but it's still nice, it's still built, it's still there. Even if you want to add a balcony later, you could still do it. So if you get too lost into details, you will perhaps waste too much energy on one thing, and you will have no energy to finish it. Another mistake would be going too fast. Really, you don't leave any margin to anything you build, which means, for example, if you are building a tower, if you are adjusting roofs, partition walls, all that, always make something a little bigger. So that you see what you have to remove. Don't go too fast at adjusting exactly the good measurement. For example, if you are doing a house, nothing will be absolutely 100% square. You will try to get to this point as much as you can, but it won't be always like that. So you have to perhaps add a bit of margin to everything, towers, stairs, all that, and cut and adjust as you go with the very house you have. Because if you go too fast, you cut everything together. Your foam board, the foam board is not super expensive, but you have to be careful with what you use. Be patient and go slowly when you make a dollhouse. It's the best the best recipe to make a beautiful house. Another mistake when you start to make a dollhouse would be to try absolutely to imitate architecture. I think architecture is nice. I love being inspired by wheel houses, wheel buildings. I do that, and I showed you that in the last episode. But it's just an inspiration. I'm not going to follow everything. And I think it's way more interesting to try to use a detail, an architecture detail, to use it at a totally unexpected place and to try to play with that, with the styles. You don't have to. Once your house is built, is secure, everything is straight, square, you can do what you want. You can really create a craziness everywhere, both in the structure and decor, and mixing styles and doing really things which are not supposed to be there for a real house. With paper especially, we don't have to follow anything strict. So you can mix Victorian, you can mix French 18th century style with fairy tale style, anything really. And of course another mistake would be not to finish your house. That's very sad because it's a big project. Whether you choose to make a big castle or something very big like that, or a small house, a little cottage house, or anything else, it's going to take time, whatever you do, whatever you choose to do, and you have to be organized and all that, and don't let it gather dust and all that in a corner. I think it's very sad. A dollhouse, it has to be finished, and you have to take your time. Maybe you will take 1 year to make your house, maybe you will take 2 months. I think less than that is perhaps, unless you really have big days to invest in it, and unless it's a very, very small house. Otherwise it takes time if you want to add all the furniture, the painting, all that. The very last thing would be perhaps if you are on your own, you have no one around you who like dollhouses as you do, and you feel a little lonely in this. Perhaps your family, friends, they don't care at all about dollhouses and you're all crazy about that. It would be perhaps to join a community online or to see who else is interested in that. So you could share your enthusiasm, your ideas, to be supported. I think it helps a lot. So in my apprentice magician community, we have this. We have a lot of lovely ladies who are crazy about dollhouses. So if you are interested and you want help and you want to be sure you're going to finish your house, because I will take care of that, I will see how you are finishing your house, you can join the Dollhouse Workshop, which is going to be available till, you can enroll actually till the middle of February 2017, if you're watching this video at the beginning of 2017. And the launching offer will close the 31st of January. This is important, you have to remember this day. If you are thinking about coming, 31st of January, the launching offer will close and the workshop will totally close on mid-February, February the 12th. So I'm going also to reply to questions I asked in the Dollhouse newsletter to the subscribers what question they had about dollhouses. I'm going to reply in the live, and we are going to do this January 22nd, and also today and in the next Paper Secrets episodes about dollhouses. So Kimberly asked me 2 questions. So she asked me, I have a beautiful glass observatory. I've been thinking how to incorporate something like that in paper. If you have any ideas on that, please share them. So this is a very interesting and challenging question. So she would like to do something which will imitate glass. And that's very hard. I tried to think about this in the past and I gave up because I had no idea how I could do that in a beautiful way without looking like, I don't know, DIY project really poorly done. There are of course papers which will imitate sort of glass, but I was never convinced. They were very pretty. In the White Cat castle, the White Cat dollhouse I made, I did a sort of tower with sort of kind of iron wire structure, and the idea was a little to imitate that or to imitate sort of cage. I think in that case the very good solution is not to try to imitate nature, architecture, try to adapt that to your technique. And if you are using paper, I think it's good to stay with paper and see what you can do and focusing on the structure. Will you be showing how to do a really wide staircase like you did on Sleeping Beauty, or will it be the more narrow curly ones? So this question is related to a castle, the Sleeping Beauty castle I made, I think in 2011, and it was made for an exhibition which took place in Paris at the time. And it was not at all a dollhouse, it was really more a sculpture, and I did it really for this project. So I don't show it a lot often because it's really not a dollhouse, you couldn't open anything. It was more like a crazy, dreamy Sleeping Beauty castle. When the exhibition closed, I didn't took it back. I only took the pieces of it, and I didn't take it back because it was giant, and I brought it with the train. It was really crazy, a crazy adventure. And I still have the staircase. So I have the staircase she's mentioning, which is this giant staircase. It's super big, you can see. And in the Dollhouse Workshop, I'm going to show you something close to that, but it's closer to the Miss Havisham house or the Enchanted Dollhouse staircase. But I will give you ways to adapt that if you want to do. This one is really giant. I think you need a specific house to do something like that. For the house I'm building here, the style is not going to work really well because it's going to hide too many things. Well, you don't have to go that crazy. That said, you could probably adapt and do only 2/3 of it. I don't know. The banister will perhaps show you also different things. But yes, this staircase was pretty big, and I'm going to give you ways to adapt if you want to go through that way. You need really a giant castle to do this one, because if you have a small house with such a big staircase, it's going to be strange. So if you also have questions, feel free to ask them under the comments, in the comments on YouTube if you're watching it on YouTube, or on the blog if you're watching this on the blog, or via email. You can send me questions via email too, and I will be happy to reply if you have any questions about dollhouses. If you try to make a dollhouse once and it didn't turn out very well, let me know. I might reply it in the next episode. For now, I leave you here. I will see you if you are registered to the live this Sunday, and if you're watching this in the future, I see you soon. And you can always subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss the next videos. And you can see the other episode of the Paper Secret series about dollhouses. I will link that below under the video. Thank you very much, and I see you very soon, and thank you for your time and for watching this.